Happy Crockin Monday, y'all.
With Memorial Day around the corner and summer on its way, we're going to do 2 recipes out of the cookbook for you that just really make us feel like have that summertime feeling.
We're going to start you off with, it's called My Crockin Ribs out of the cookbook, and it's by Maggie Sarrow. And Jenna's going to help me. I'm going to walk her through it. So these, you're going to take 3 to 5 pounds of baby back ribs. Now before we start this, I want to show you that we are using a large 7-quart crock. This is a recipe that if you're cooking for a crowd, you can easily double, but you're going to need a large crock for it. If you're just feeding, you know, your individual family, I would say you're perfectly fine using a 5-quart slow cooker.
5-6 quart.
So with these ribs, we've just cut them in half so they will fit down in the slow cooker. But if you're using a smaller crock, you might need to cut them in 3/4 or 4ths. Okay, so on the baby back ribs, if you prefer to do beef ribs, go for it. If you want a different, you know, short ribs, go for those too. So, onion, you're gonna top it with 2 large onions. We've just coarsely chopped them. And then 2 cups sliced mushrooms.
And like we've said, I'm not a mushroom fan, but I do like the flavor. So this recipe works good with me because they get the flavor, but they're big enough to where I can pull them out if I spot any on my plate.
Okay, for the sauce that you will top the vegetables and the meat with, you're going to do 1 jar of your favorite barbecue sauce, and we've used a 28-ounce jar. And then you're going to add about 2 to 4 garlic cloves chopped, but I prefer more like 4 to 6 because I love garlic. So just add that to your barbecue sauce. 1 cup of brown sugar and a 1/2 cup of red wine of your choice. Now, you do not have to use the red wine. It is totally optional.
But that was adding like 3 of my favorite things to the sauce. Like,
yeah.
That was a pretty good trio right there that you're adding to the
barbecue
sauce.
The alcohol is going to cook out. So if you're worried about that and worried about feeding this to your kids, that is not a problem.
It gives it a good flavor.
It does give it a good flavor, and it makes it have a little bit thinner sauce that is nice to just pour over your ribs or dip them in if you wanted to.
Which they're going to fall apart anyway.
They are.
It takes very delicate hands to get them out without them falling apart.
And then, easy as that, you're just going to pour it straight over your ribs. Gosh, it smells so good.
It does smell really good.
Like Jenna said, the mixture of the garlic and the barbecue sauce and the wine.
And the brown sugar.
And yes.
Can't go wrong with that.
No, you can't. So you'll cover that, and you're going to cook these on low for 7 to 8 hours. It's another reason why I love this recipe, because it's all day. If you need to cook it a little bit faster, you can cook it on high for about 4 or 5 hours, and they'll be just as tender.
And it's fine to sit a little bit after that time, also on warm. The next recipe we're going to do is a cobbler recipe. It's called Black and Blue Cobbler, and it was submitted by Marcia Fisher. Now, when you look at this recipe in the cookbook, it might scare you just a little bit because it is probably one of the more lengthy list of ingredients in the cookbook, but it is worth it.
It's definitely worth it. You've got to try it out.
I'm going to go ahead and spray this. You're going to spray about a 5-quart slow cooker. You don't want it to be too big. You want it to be big enough, or small enough around to where it is a little higher in a slow cooker so the inside stays moist and it's not spread out thin on a bigger slow cooker.
So does it dry out?
Yeah, you don't want it to dry out.
Okay.
So you're going to have, this is a multi-step process also, so you can really, if you want to be crocking and have it simple, but you want to feel like you're doing a little bit on the prep.
Of
this
baking?
is a little bit of baking. This is a good recipe to try. So in a bowl, you're going to mix, I'm going to check my cookbook because this list of ingredients is so long. 1 cup of flour, and it could be all-purpose flour. Now the recipe calls for 1.5 cups of sugar, but it's going to be divided. So for this portion of the recipe, we're going to do 3/4 a cup. Then I'm going to add in a teaspoon of baking powder, about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, so I'm just going to put a little in my hand, a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and a 1/4 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. I'm
not a fan of nutmeg, but in this black and blue cobbler, you can't taste it at all.
The flavors that mix in this recipe are really good. So you're just going to get that mixed up, get those ingredients blended up in there. And then you're going to mix 2 eggs beaten. To that you're going to add 2 tablespoons of milk and 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. So I'm going to get that mixed up. And then you're just going to add this to your dry ingredients. And this is going to make your batter.
Yeah, so talk about homemade. Yeah. This is homemade.
From scratch. I love cobblers, and so and it's a good summertime dessert. Eat it with ice cream.
It's just not real heavy.
Yeah, you can. I just think about sitting on the back porch, letting the kids play and eating some cobbler. So I'm getting that mixed up. Now back here is where we're doing the second portion of the recipe. I have it already going because it needs to be boiling. We have 2 cups of blueberries, 2 cups of blackberries, and 3/4 a cup of water, and this is where you're going to add in that remaining sugar. You're going to pour that over the top. And then it calls for a teaspoon of grated orange peel, so I'm just going to use pretty much the zest of 1 orange. I love the feeling of Memorial Day, and it's starting off summer. My husband being a school administrator, it really kicks off summer for us. So I love Memorial Day, and I'm excited that summer is here.
We always have a big family reunion for Memorial Day, and there's probably, well, my husband Chris comes from a large family, so it's just really cousins and uncles and aunts. It's not even like great aunts, you know, it's just, so we probably have about 50 people come, and we spend the whole weekend, go to the lake, hang out, eat a lot of food.
Which this comes in handy because you can do all this there.
Exactly. It smells heavenly.
The orange zest in this really, I don't cook with this a lot, but when I made this, I said I'm going to start adding this to my recipes because it makes it smell so good. The blend with the berries is really good. So you get that mixed up and let it boil, and then you're going to spread this batter down in your slow cooker. I can get it down in there. Got a little bit of trouble. And this is a pretty thick batter. I was surprised when making it that it turned out that thick. And you're going to spread that evenly down the bottom. Then you're just going to pour that fruit directly over the top. And the batter will come up a little bit. It's just leave the fruit on top. You don't have to mix it or anything. You're going to cover this and you're going to cook it on high for about 2 to 2.5 hours. Once the time is up, you're going to unplug it, remove the lid, let it sit for about 30 minutes, and we served it with ice cream because you can't have it without ice cream.
That's right, love ice cream. We hope y'all enjoy our 2 summer meals for you guys, and hope you have a good Memorial Day weekend. Be safe, And happy crockin', y'all.
Enjoy your families and have a great week.